And so then over probably 15 years of experimenting, I got to what I like to do. And I'm picking, you know, what I consider ripe, but this is in the eyes of the beholder of the wine. But it's when the seeds and skins are at a certain ripeness that reduces the astringency of greenness in a wine. We ferment really slowly and long, cool. We don't crush the wine. We de-stem it. So the fermentation bins are full of whole grapes, and the yeast can't go and eat the sugar quickly because it's not available to them. So they slowly do their job, which means the temperature naturally stays low and you have a longer extraction time. So all these things were informed by other winemakers, hundreds really. And then I cherry-picked my version of it through trial and error. And now I play around with new things every year, but I basically have a style that I'm making my Pinot Noirs in. I have 8 vineyards of Pinot Noir. We make them all the same. So now everyone tastes like the place that it came from. And this is quite unique. It's not that unique. A lot of winemakers do that. But it's quite unique because in Santa Rita Hills, very few people have 8 different vineyards of Pinot Noir. So you have a large range that you can taste, and I love doing that. I love doing that with other winemakers as well. A lot of winemakers will have 4 to 6, 7, sometimes even more. And I love doing vertical tastings of other people's wines. One of my favorite things we do every year is owner of La Encantada, which is one of famous local local vineyards locally. They invite everybody to the vineyard who makes wine there for a dinner, and they buy the wine that was made. So when we go up there, it's like 35 winemakers, a nice meal, and 35 different wines made from the same vineyard in the same year. And I got to tell you that all those winemakers, you know, us winemakers, we're doing a lot of fun stuff, but none of them do that. That's one of the funnest things that all these winemakers have ever done, because we all love the vineyard or we wouldn't buy our grapes from there. And to try everyone's wine, and there's a lot of different styles. You know, some people pick early, some people pick late, some people partial whole clusters, some people are carbonic. And so you get to see all that and talk to the person that made that wine right there. And it's definitely one of my funnest things. The only time I miss it is when I'm traveling around the world. vineyards. We have almost 20 vineyards that we source from, and they're owned by other people. And these vineyards have grapes for sale to winemakers. And there's the farmers, and there's about 3 farmers. They're all very high-end grape farmers. This is all they farm. They have PhDs in bugs and dirt and lots of college-educated vineyard managers. And so they're managing all the vineyards. So I work directly with the farmer. He sells the grapes for the owner, and the owner of the vineyard many times owns a winery too. And so his team will work with the farmer to make sure that his fruit, let's say half goes into his project, he'll work with his team to make sure that their fruit is perfect. And then the other 50%, if it's sold, maybe 10 winemakers buy it. How I select those vineyards is pretty much I listen, and taste. So for established vineyards, I'm tasting like La Encantada. When I got into La Encantada, this is a famous vineyard, and it had been making wine the vineyard was producing wine for 20 years. So I had many, many La Encantadas, and so I was like calling La Encantada, see if I can get in. And so I was able to get in. Sometimes you have to wait 2 or 3 years, or sometimes you get lucky. The newer vineyards, then you don't have such a track record. But I look at who planted it, how it's being planted, who's buying in it, and then I'm looking at the grapes. It's not that easy to figure out a perfect vineyard, and I'm usually never the first person in a vineyard because I don't know that much about that vineyard, they're just planting it today, it's going to be perfect. It's not that difficult. It's not that easy for anybody to know that.